Hi book friends, welcome to Biblio Happy Hour, a podcast about bookstores and everything bookish. I'm your host, Victoria Wood. In today's show, we'll be talking to Kris Haggblom from Poetic Justice Books Arts, located in Port St. Lucie, Florida. Today's episode is brought to you by Biblio Finder, a new online directory for independent bookstores. They also list book clubs and bookish-related events. If you love the show and what we're doing over on Biblio Finder and you want to help us support local independent bookstores, visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/bibliofinder. When you become a patron, you're helping us to list, advertise, and promote local independent bookstores worldwide. You'll also get perks such as access to our full podcast episodes, behind-the-scenes content, an opportunity to send in questions, get discount codes, shout-outs, plus more. That's patreon.com/bibliofinder. We will also leave a link in the show details. Before we get started with today's episode, I'd like to welcome our newest patrons to the Biblio family: Casey Bridges, Brianna Avery, Christy, and Noella Glasson. Also, please don't forget to subscribe to our podcast and leave us a rating and review. Alrighty guys, now it's time for us to talk with our guests. Kris, thank you so much for joining us and welcome to Biblio Happy Hour.
Oh, thank you for inviting me.
Wonderful, we're so glad you're here. So tell me real quick, are you a coffee or a tea person?
I am a coffee person.
Coffee. Okay. Well, I'm sipping on a cup of tea.
I'm sipping on a cup of espresso.
Oh, look at that. So we're both drinking on happy hour. Yay. All right, Kris, just tell me really quick, tell us about your bookstore, where you're located, and tell us a bit about your town.
We're located in Port St. Lucie, Florida, in a small shopping plaza. It's called Morningside Shops. We got a really good location because we're right next to the library,
the public
library,
amazing.
And next to an absolutely amazing bakery. So being, that's a really good location. And Port St. Lucie, which everybody's going, what's up Port St. Lucie? Port St. Lucie is the 8th largest city in Florida.
Are you kidding?
We're just behind Tallahassee, and we're larger than Fort Lauderdale.
You're kidding.
So,
well, see, I did not know that. I would assume Fort
nobody
Lauderdale.
Nobody knows us.
Yeah, I would assume Fort Lauderdale in a heartbeat. I know West Palm Beach. Are you bigger than West Palm Beach?
No, because West Palm is huge physically.
Right. Oh, okay. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, we're really big, and Port St. Lucie, it's a young town. It was founded in 1961.
Oh, okay.
So we're fast growing, but it's still looking for an identity. It's like, what is it? So what I want Poetic Justice to be is an integral part of it. I want us to be the cultural, literary center of a growing city.
Absolutely, and a growing city needs a bookstore, so we're really happy that you're in Port St. Lucie. When did you first open your doors?
I officially opened them on summer solstice 2018.
Wow.
June 21st. That was my grand opening as such.
Right.
But I didn't get any shelving in here until the end of July, so it was kind of weird selling stuff off the tables and out of boxes.
No, absolutely. I understand. I mean, a start is better than no start at all. So you're coming up on 1 year. How has business been for you so far? What would you say?
I would say that it has been much better than I had expected. I knew that opening a bookstore was going to be, it's kind of iffy. People are like, what are you, nuts? So I was going, well, let's see what happens. And I know that a bookstore really 3 to 4 years before you start really hitting stride.
Right.
And I'd say that we're running double that speed. I'm looking at, 1.5 to 2 years. I think that I won't have any problems of financial, meat and rent and all that type of stuff. Right now it's
Right,
still a
right.
scramble, but
No, understood, understood. But that's pretty good. But on that note, and it's one of the questions I had down to ask you. But when you told your friends and family and, acquaintances and just anyone close to you at all that you're opening an independent bookstore, what were their honest reactions?
that I'm insane.
Okay. See, that's the thing. We often hear people say, I didn't know bookstores still existed, or, yeah, you're crazy. And then, of course, they're going to hit you. Well, what about Amazon? How are you going to stay in
Exactly.
business?
Amazon, all Amazon wants to do is just have the Amazon economy. And I don't really think about them.
Good.
If somebody comes in here and says, well, I can get it at such and such a price at Amazon, I go, okay. So number one, why'd you walk in the door? Number
Right.
two, where was Amazon 3 years ago when we had the hurricanes?
Right.
I was out there helping my neighbors with a chainsaw.
Absolutely.
Where were you? You were out helping with shovels or whatever.
Right, right, right.
Amazon was nowhere to be found.
No,
So,
no, we completely
deal with
agree.
your local people.
Exactly, absolutely, absolutely. So you focus on poetry, independent and small press, and what else would
Mm-hmm.
you say? What else would you add to that, or did I get it right?
Well, we have that. Plus, we also have, if somebody wants to order something, I have no problem. Yeah, I'll order it for you.
Okay,
Local authors.
that's great.
We have a very large local author section. There's a lot of talent in this area, so I'll deal with them, no problem.
Okay.
And also local artists. I have a small gallery here as well with painting and sculpture and photography.
Oh, okay. So that's nice. You're really trying to make yourself a literary and art center within your town.
Exactly.
How has publishing or the bookstore industry changed over the years for you? What have you seen? Good changes, positive changes, negative changes, just anything you want to talk about, the floor is yours.
Well, one of the things that everybody was hyped up about a few years ago was e-readers.
Okay.
And that was, the new thing. It's going to make the book obsolete, blah, blah, blah.
E-readers, in my opinion, made me crave a physical book more because we have gadgets all around us anyway.
That is
And
true.
there's a special feeling, when you're holding a physical book because I'm on my phone, I'm on my computer all the time, da da
Exactly.
da. So, no, the e-reader movement I thought would have changed the game. If I'm being completely honest, I thought books would have been dead, but that was a big change though to the bookstore industry.
It was. And it's actually, as you said, people want the physical item.
Correct.
And I get that. And I love that. So yeah, it's like I love books. So here you go. It's
Right,
a book
right,
in
right.
my hand. With publishing, publishers. I don't think publishers really cared about the ebook thing. Um, they thought, yeah, well, make it available. It's just something else we can sell. Another way to get it out there.
Right.
But then they all got sideswiped with this self-publishing.
Oh, see that's another thing that has definitely changed over the years. Self-publishing for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. Self-publishing used to be what it used to be. What do they call it? Vanity press, right?
Mm.
So here's John Smith has written his great novel, and he can't sell it to anybody because he refuses to let it go to an editor. But he has money, so he takes it to um, the local printer and has a bunch of books made. That's his, that's vanity press type stuff. And so companies started setting up to do that because they saw that that was a market.
Right. I mean,
And
now you
then
can
the
publish online
computer
too.
started hitting.
Yep,
And
yep.
now you can design your own book. You can do it in, you can do it in Word if you want. And you have all those different programs, Sigil and, um, I publish books here. That's one of the things that keeps me going. I publish poetry.
Right,
And I
right.
make poetry books, but I do it through Ingram Spark. So that
Right.
is a viable publishing outlet.
Well, see
I'm not doing it as self-publishing,
right?
But it's still, anybody can do it.
Right, absolutely. But here's the thing, though, and I think this is very important because also at Biblio Finder and through Biblio Happy Hour, we also want to give a platform to the authors. And I know independent authors struggle a lot. It's a tough business. But from what you're saying to me now, this might be a new avenue independent authors can take where you can see, find out from your local bookstore, how can I publish my book? Are there any small presses around? Are there any bookstores like yours who do in-house publishing and assisting them? Because I think that would be a better avenue as opposed to going to, and this is a bad word in my book, Amazon, as opposed to going that route, using the creative space.
Yeah,
and so on.
What used to be called Create Space, now they call it KDP.
Oh, right, you're correct, KDP.
Which is Kindle Direct Publishing.
Right.
Now when you do it, you have to do the ebook version too. It's the rules.
Oh, I see.
That way they can get their free content onto their
platform. Right.
A lot of authors keep doing that, and they'll go to KDP and they'll use it, and then they'll come in here and they want me to carry their book.
Right.
And it's like, let me see the book. You told me that you use Create Space. This is strike one. Because it's like I can't source the book. If I try to buy it from a wholesaler, the best discount I'm going to get off of it is like nothing. It's like, so there's no reason for me to order it into the store.
I see.
So if you're a local author and you use them because you didn't know any better, we'll talk about you doing your next book for one thing. And right now, of course, we want to help you. You're here. Let's put them in on consignment. So that makes the local author the distributor to his local bookstore. And I tell local authors all the time. I said, I'm since I worked at Barnes & Noble, I don't have a problem hearing the word Amazon. It's like, yeah, you're going to tell me, oh, Amazon, thanks, great, now go away. But if you walked into most independent bookstores, and the first thing that you say, I wrote a book and it's got really great sales on Amazon. You just turn their ears off. You shot
yourself in the foot essentially with that.
Right. So just don't mention Amazon. I mean, yeah, it's a viable way to do things.
Okay.
But then you have to work around it when you want to work into stores.
Okay.
So put it, offer to do it on consignment.
Okay.
And the vast majority of bookstores will be fine with that.
Okay. So let me just summarize and make sure I'm understanding. You as a bookseller cannot get a discount from Amazon for an independently published book on the KDP platform. You can't get that. So the authors now who want to ask you kindly, can you carry my book? Can I have a book signing? Can I have an author event, which again is something we want to promote here. The best option for you as a bookseller is to now take the book from them on consignment, because essentially there's nothing else that you can do. Your hands are tied.
Correct.
All right, everyone.
And consignment works very good because they can actually make more money that way.
Oh, okay. So. Oh, that's good. But yeah, so if you go Amazon, you go Amazon. But if not, ask your independent bookstore. They'll probably know someone if they don't self-publish themselves. But Kris Haggblom at Poetic Justice Books, he publishes. So if you have a poetry book and it's something you want to get published, reach out to him. His details will be in the show description. There we go. So on the note of independent authors, what are your thoughts on the rise of diverse books being published now, and you're having a lot of own voices authors, writing about characters in the book that are representative of themselves, even if, it's fiction. But we notice that there are a lot of diverse titles coming out. What is your take on that?
I think it's fantastic. The diversity is, since I'll go from the poetry point of view, diversity is the heart of poetry. And if there's an individual poet who doesn't read other voices, then how are you going to grow?
Right.
It's like locking yourself in a box. It's just not going to happen, right?
Right.
So the diversity, I can't know other cultures. I don't know what it's like to live in Nigeria.
Right.
But I just published a book by an author from Nigeria, and she lives in Nigeria, and we just published her book, and it's fantastic. I mean, I read it and I was going, I think I understand a little bit about what it's like to live in this highly quickly evolving country.
Right. Right.
It's like, it's kind of whacked, and and wow, I thought we had problems.
Well, see, there you go.
So it's really nice to be able to get that type of
insight
view, that insight, and the self-publishing revolution has accelerated that. It definitely allows us to
learn from. Yeah, no, I think it's amazing. I noticed it was a trend online on social media, own voices reviews, diverse books, own voice authors. And I thought to myself, it's brilliant, that we now have the opportunity to read and hear from otherwise marginalized voices, people we would have never heard from before. So I think it's amazing. And I'm looking forward to reading more diverse books myself. On that note, are you reading anything?
I'm always reading.
What are you reading right now?
So, yes, I'm always reading. But I have rather esoteric tastes. So I've been told. My wife calls me a literary snob. And that being said, the two books that I'm reading right now are bodies of work by Kathy Acker, which is actually rereading it. I read it years ago when it was first published.
Okay.
And a book by an author's name is Kated Yassin. What's the title? Nejma. He's from Algeria. And it's a really wildly cool novel. I'm going, this is not your normal structure in a story. But he does a definitely great job of capturing the city of Constantine. So
I see.
It's pretty wild.
Okay. So what is your go-to reading genre? What genre are you most likely to pick up at the drop of a hat?
Medieval Chinese poetry.
You're kidding.
No.
Who reads medieval Chinese poetry? I know a lot of people struggle with poems to begin with. It's one of those things like, do you get it? Or, I'm not so sure. I know people are scared of poetry. I know.
I've been reading poetry. I grew up with it, so I couldn't even tell you when I first started reading poetry.
Okay.
And my father has worked for Japan Airlines, so there was the tie-in to the Orient for all the time, and just so reading the Japanese poets and the Chinese poets, and I decided I like the Chinese poets better.
Wow.
Of course, there's always somebody like Basho. Basho is just like amazing.
Right.
But you get into some of these guys that people don't know, and Bao Zhao, people don't know him, and yet this poetry, it's alive today. The guy was writing, in like the year 410.
Jeez.
And it's just like, it still talks to you today.
Now that's mind-blowing. That to me is a sign of a good piece of work.
How did he make something that universal?
Yep.
It's like Homer, right?
Yes,
still speaks to us today.
Yep.
So I just stepped outside of your normal Western canon.
No, that's amazing. The fact that you're willing to go outside that far, but I'm really impressed, for work to last that long. It's timeless, and that to me is just a sign of a good author and a good piece of work. That's amazing. All right, Kris, if you could give anyone who's interested some advice about opening an independent bookstore, what would you tell them? What would your best advice be?
There are two things. Number one, do it. And number two, get a copy of the book Rebel Bookseller by Andy Lattice. You won't regret it, and you will know what you're in for.
What would you say is your biggest challenge being an independent bookstore owner? And also, what do you love most about being a bookstore owner?
Let's see, the biggest challenge, not panicking.
Oh, jeez.
Don't panic.
Don't panic. You'll be fine.
Okay.
You'll be fine.
Just ask Doug Adams.
Breathe.
Yeah, you just have to keep your head. I mean, it's like you're going to have days where there's not a bunch of people coming into the store, and it's like, oh no, what am I going to do? Well, you can't think that way. You just gotta ride with it. Things work out, and that's cool.
Keeping it cool.
And the best thing about it is I'm my own boss, and I can look at those shelves and go, that needs to be there, and that is the book I'm going to sell. People are going to walk in, and I'm going to tell them all about Bao Zhao and why you should be reading.
Wow.
So it's cool.
No, that's amazing. But you know what? Everyone has a reason. And this is my true belief to visit Florida. And now we know Port St. Lucie is one of the biggest cities in Florida. Most of us don't know it. And now we have reason to go. And once we step into Poetic Justice Books and Arts, we are guaranteed to walk out with a book we probably never knew existed. Thanks to Kris.
Exactly.
So in one sentence, what would you want everyone to know about you and your bookstore? Go.
One sentence.
I know it's hard. You can do two. You're fine.
Yeah, I blank mind. Literature is about discovery, and that's what it's all about. And that's what I'm about. Come in and discover your next great adventure. It's all in the book.
It's all in the book, you guys. It's all in the book. Kris, thank you so much for coming on Biblio Happy Hour. This was fun. I'm sure all our listeners probably learned something. I know I did. And now we have another new indie bookstore on our map, Poetic Justice and Books in Port St. Lucie, Florida. Thanks again, Kris.
Thank you.
All right, guys, that's it for today's show. Thank you so much for listening, and special thanks to Kris Haggblom from Poetic Justice Books and Arts for coming on the show. I will leave all the links for Poetic Justice in the show details so you can connect with them. Don't forget to follow Biblio Finder and Biblio Happy Hour on social media and sign up for our newsletters. To listen to full episodes of our podcast, get behind-the-scenes content, weekly business updates, perks, and more, head on over to patreon.com/bibliofinder. Wherever you're listening, please don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review the show. When you do this, you're helping us to reach a larger audience, and it's one way you can help us to put independent bookstores at the forefront and make Biblio Finder plus the show a success. Thanks again for listening. We look forward to talking to you in our next show.